call this meeting to order, and purpose of this workshop will be to review fee schedules for the following departments: building department, planning department, parking department, and rec department. And also, planning commission at September 30th, 2025 meeting requested that a workshop meeting be scheduled for the purpose of reviewing off-street parking. I'll turn it over to Greg.
All righty, thank you, Mayor. And as the Mayor mentioned, we have two parts. First is some fee schedules for 4 different departments that's going to be for your all's consideration, and then taking up the off-premise, off-street parking. So we will start with our building and planning director. If you all want to go first with your presentation.
We'll just pass that for the
Or, yeah, everyone goes. Just wherever you want to. So is this, which one are we doing first?
This is everything in one package.
Okay, gotcha. So, Ms. Janice going first?
Okay.
Yes.
Okay, this is the building department.
Thank you, everyone. Good afternoon. I have proposed to increase our building fees, starting with, first of all, the national...
Let them know what page you're looking at.
Oh, okay, it's on the first page. Forgive me. There's 2 pages here that you'll see in your packet. I'm sorry, I don't know what order you're in. Forgive me. You're looking at these 2 right here?
Yep.
Okay. And as you'll see, I have also included all of the jurisdictions within Sevier County. You're looking at Pigeon Forge, Sevierville, Sevier County, as well as Pittman Center. Okay. I am looking to increase our fees less than 0.5% across the board, because the national average cost for building permits is between 0.5 and 2% for the evaluation of construction. We are nowhere near 0.5%, and we'll be not near that now. I am looking to increase across the board, going from a base fee of $20 for evaluations from 2001 to 15,000 to 100. I'm also looking to increase each additional $1,000 from $6 to $10. It's kind of difficult to read because all the jurisdictions, everyone's tiers are a little bit different, as you can see. So our valuation from 15,000 to 50,000 is different across the board from the other jurisdictions. I'm proposing to increase from $98 to $230 for each additional $1,000, from $5 to $7. However, Pigeon Forge ranges theirs from $1,001 to $50,000. So again, it's a little bit different to compare the jurisdictions. And again, all of the fees that I'm proposing are less than 0.5% of the national average. A bit confusing, and I apologize. Also, one of the things I'd like to include is starting off with initial. Did you have a question? Sorry.
I was just reading this.
Okay, sorry. Starting off with keeping the building plan review costs the same, 50% across the board, not increasing those. I'm looking to add an initial building inspection to all building permits of $75. Last year, we did, for fiscal year 2023-2024, we did 1,760 building inspections. That's not including code enforcement or tourist rental inspections. That's just building permits. And a lot of those are not including your third-party inspections as well. And a lot of those, if we had included one inspection per building permit, that would have given us over $10,000 extra in fees. And a lot of times we are not charging for the multitude of failed inspections and having to go back. That's including your wear and tear on our vehicles, the time it takes for the inspectors to go back, the administrative costs for our permit technician, executive secretary, for all of that. That is one of the reasons why including an initial inspection fee up front. I also spoke to Justin today at the City of Sevierville. They are also including, looking at adding an initial building inspection fee as well. And also including adding higher re-review fees. We do not charge for a re-review fee. A re-review fee after a building permit is issued, if there are changes that happen out in the field and plans need to come back to us for a re-review. That is the time of our, inspectors to review, or plans examiners. We're not charging for that. And sometimes those can take hours. So right now, we are the only jurisdiction that does not charge for re-review fees. So I am looking to start, again, proposing $150 for anything over an hour. That would take a re-review if it started at over an hour for $150, or $250 for commercial. Some projects are a lot. Takes a lot more than others. And of course, re-inspections. A re-inspection fee for multiple failed inspections, to double it to $150. And going on to the second page. Currently, we are charging $10 for every mechanical permit and $2 for every $1,000. I'm looking to charge $100 per appliance, whether it be for an air conditioner, for a furnace, a boiler, for appliance. As you can see, Pigeon Forge charges $35 plus all the additional, including $5 per boiler. They're looking at, they have multiple fees they're going through. Sevierville charges $20 plus $5 per additional $1,000. Sevier County has up theirs to per trade, $150 to $300. Pittman Center charges $150. So I'm proposing that we charge ours $100 per appliance. Our plumbing permit, we're currently charging a base fee of $10, plus we have a multitude of fees down here, $250 per fixture, floor drain, and trap fees. It takes a lot of time for our plans examiners to go through and calculate all of these on every plan review. So I am proposing, instead of taking all of these fees and counting everything, I'm proposing again for plumbing permit, $100 per appliance, and not charging for all of those fees. If that makes sense. Just quick and easy, $100 for, a water heater, instead of all of those. A demolition permit, we currently charge $50. I'm looking to propose that to $100. Pigeon Forge also charges $50. The rest of the jurisdictions charge $100. One of the other fees I'm proposing to add is a road maintenance fee on new construction only. As you all know, we are the largest tourist visited national park in the country, with over 13 million tourists visiting a year. That is a lot of cars on our streets. And being as we are the gateway to the Smoky Mountains, our roads take a beating. And unfortunately, our roads they need a little bit of work, as again, what we can see. And though impact fees are not charged, minor road maintenance fee on all new construction could help offset those costs for the, wear and tear on our roads for maintenance and upkeep. It's a suggestion. Other jurisdictions throughout Tennessee do that. Again, these are all suggestions. And if we were to add up all of these, they will still be less than the lowest of the national average of 0.5%.
So would we be comparable with the other cities in the county?
We would be comparable, a little bit more in some areas, a little less in others. I do know that I couldn't get all of the fees for the city of Sevierville. I do have all of other fees here, again, going off their fee schedules, but comparable a little bit more. We don't have to add all the fees, these are all suggestions. But with the inflation, the cost of building materials and everything else, it's just the wear and tear, it's just the rates. It could be something that we could look into. Again,
I think they're all reasonable. I don't see anything that's really out of line.
For a $300,000 project, a national average, fees would incur from anywhere from $1,500 to $6,000, from 0.5% to 2%. We would still be much less than that on ours.
Can I speak up? My personal opinion, and we can go on this how we want to, I think that we're going up extremely high compared to our neighbors. I know what the national average is, but we also have a community here. When you're sitting here and going from on the first one, our evaluation of $15,050 from $98 to $230, and everybody else is paying $15, $30, and $30 across the cities, other cities, that's a drastic jump to me. I don't care about increasing some, but I think that if you go through and you look at proposed and what the other ones are doing in our neighboring counties, because we're not a huge metropolitan area, to me, I think that we're jumping up extremely a little bit too high off the bat. That's just my opinion.
Commissioner Reagan, may I? If you were to, from 15,000 to 50, if you look straight across, they are looking at from 1,000 to 50. If you were to drop down
Okay.
up to 50,000, you're looking, it's kind of difficult to compare because we're 15,000, we're a little bit different. Do you notice that? From ours, 50,000 to 100,000, 273, 260, 270 to 270. It all averages a bit, but there's where we're a little bit different. We're the only ones that have a valuation from 2001 to 15. And from 101 to 2,000, no one else does, which is just a little bit different. So it's just because they're looking at from 1,000 to 50. We're at 15,000 to 50.
By percentage. I mean, I see what you're saying, but right above it, you go 2,000 to 15,000, which covers that, and it's still $100, which is more than all those below it. So I'm just saying yeah. Well, we were at 20 now. From 2015, we're increasing to 100. By percentage, I think percentage-wise, that's extremely a lot more compared to the rest of the cities and counties. That's just my opinion.
Any other comments? Kirby?
I wonder if we could look at a sample of like a 3-bedroom, just what we would pay right now for all these, like what's typical. Let's just look at a sample of what all that looks like, because that can be a little confusing. And so if we did something like whether 2 or 3 bedroom cabin or, house or whatever, look at what it looks like today as opposed to what it would look like with all the appliances and the add-ons and all that. That probably gives a little clearer look.
You'd have a snapshot of it,
Yeah.
to see.
I think
I
that
have
might-
that information
difference.
upstairs.
Yeah, that would be good.
I do have that.
Okay.
Would you like me to get that now, or what would you prefer, commissioners? I don't
It's-
know.
Why don't we go ahead and jump on to Dalton, what you're doing, and then we can
Yes,
bounce
sir.
back if
Okay,
we need to,
absolutely.
if you guys are okay with that.
That'd be good.
We'll be looking at the black and white spreadsheet for planning department. So yes, the planning department is proposing to increase 6 board submittal fees. Those include the Board of Zoning Appeals fee, preliminary and final plan unit development fee, preliminary and final site plan reviews, and then it will also be rezonings as well.
Tell them whether they're on the sheet, please.
So this will be, you can see that in the far left corner. That'll be each of those items that we are looking at today. So I've included in there a current fee and then the proposed fee. We are looking to increase the fees to correlate with our neighboring cities as well as the hours spent by staff on each item. I've provided the number of hours, an average hour for each submittal type as well. That way you guys can refer to that. We are looking to increase the rezoning fee from $50 to $100, similar to our surrounding jurisdictions, as well as the preliminary planning and development from no fee now to a $50 fee. Additionally, the final plan unit development fee is looking to be increased from $50 to $100, with a final planning commission site plan review fee being increased from $50 to $100 as well. The BZA request is the most significantly raised rate. That is going to be from 25 to 75, misspoke there, from 25 to 100. So that'd be a $75 increase there, and that is also similar to our surrounding jurisdictions as well.
Dawn, when were the last time these fees were raised?
They were, it was early 2000s is whenever they were appraised last time, and they have not been updated since.
About 25 years ago. So if you'd update them a little bit every year, then we'd be where everybody else is. I don't see any problem with the new fees. I mean, I think Gatlinburg's the crown gem of the county, and you got people just realizing they come in here and develop and just make a killing off it. And I think we ought to have adequate fees for what we offer. I mean, we don't have a lot of property to expand, so to take advantage of Gatlinburg is a big deal, so. I don't think there's an issue with raising any of these fees. I think they've been too low for too long. Anybody have any comments?
These fees are not as extreme jumps as the other ones, so it's more in line, so I'm saying on these.
If not, Mayor, any questions for Dalton? We'll move to recreation and all. Is that you or Lawrence want to take that one?
I can go ahead and go over the summary, and Lawrence can chime in too, Greg, if he needs to bring things specifically. But basically, and because Lawrence and I have chatted about this, the overall summary of what the community center is looking to do is basically expand on we have the annual memberships now, and expand to on that concept to have a daily and a monthly membership fee that will cover a lot of the activities that people are paying individually for now. And so you can see that.
Tell us where we're at.
Yeah, all right, yeah, here, this, there's a summary sheet right here, I'm sorry, and then this sheet here accompanies that. So this one that says summary proposed, it's got community center and the parking on there.
Is that based on what it is, isn't it?
It's
Without
the-
having that one.
Okay. Well, let me,
Is it this?
well, that's the comparison there. The city manager's looking at the comparison to the others here.
Oh,
It's there you go, I'm sorry.
It's the
yes.
loose one.
It's the loose one, yeah, okay. And that's just a summary, it just tells you kind of what you've got in there, but basically this, and Lawrence, you correct me if I'm wrong, these memberships are going to cover a lot of the individual activities like the pool, locker room, tone zone, pickleball, volleyball, and then you can see that 14 to 15-year-olds can use the tone zone if accompanied by an adult. And then you can see the proposed membership rates for ages 14 to 61 are $10 a day, $30 a month. For the categories of 0 to 13 and over age 61, $8 a day, $24 a month. And so this is where I can just let Lawrence, if you don't mind, let him explain
Sure.
this. But everything in blue on this long spreadsheet here that you guys look at on legal paper is proposed to go away because it will be included with the membership. And so we won't be charging for some many minute items. But Lawrence, if you don't mind, I'll just let you talk about that.
So,
And Lawrence, if you, I don't mean to interrupt you, let the gentleman know about how Pigeon Forge and Sevierville does it as well.
yeah, and so I'll actually start with that if you like. Pigeon Forge has never raised their rates in 20 years, since they've opened the community center. So I have spoken to them. They say every year we're getting ready to have a significant increase. Sevierville raised their rates in 2023, so they've recently raised their rates.
What are their rates?
Pigeon Forge, this is why 3 years ago we've moved to the membership model to align ourselves with the other departments. They had an annual membership model, we never did. We had what I called an a la carte or a pay-as-you-go model. So 3 years ago I asked you all to add annual memberships, which you did. Those are not changing. Those are right there at the top of this page. That's the 150, 125, depending on the age. And then it goes to 300 for a family membership. This is something that we all did together 3 years ago. The whole goal of that was to get that in place and then start eliminating some of this a la carte stuff which becomes unnecessary. So this is basically phase 2 of that. Pigeon Forge, their gold rate for an adult is $270, which includes all the things that ours include. In fact, we may even include a few extra things in that. We include pickleball and our net sports.
Now, do they also have a monthly rate and they have an annual rate and a
They
monthly
do.
rate?
Their gold monthly rate is actually a little bit less than that. So their annual rate is $270, where ours is $150
Right.
for a regular adult. Their gold monthly rate is $22.50, and I'm proposing $30. The math does better, when you add up, 12 times, $180 bucks. Is you're getting 2 months free if you do the annual membership versus the month. Everything else in blue is the 25 visit punch passes. Those are kind of an outdated model of paying for things. Racquetball, we don't even have a racquetball court anymore. They've all been converted to other uses. And then the tone zone, the daily membership are the things that I'm proposing to add, the daily and the monthly, which will include everything again. And so instead of having to go in and go, what are you going to do today, sir, ma'am? You'll just have access to the building, except for bowling. Bowling will remain separate as it does in the other community centers. On the second page, on the back, I don't know if you have a second page or a back, there's a short item. There are some additional fees, and that's facility use fees. And the meeting room remains the same. That's primarily used by locals for birthday parties. Basketball courts, we don't really rent those to locals very much because all our schools get to use them for free. And we only do one court at a time per the Commission's request a few years ago. So I've eliminated the both court rentals because that's not something we do anymore. We try to keep one court available for drop-in play at all times. So that fee has gone away, and I've doubled it to $50. The only reason we're renting the basketball courts right now are usually Rocky Top teams coming in to practice before or during a Rocky Top event from out-of-towners. The after-hours rental is $375. I've gone up to $500 on that for 3 hours. stayed the same for additional hours. Again, that's used very infrequently by groups like Boy Scouts, Girl Scout groups, and that's really to cover the cost of the staff has gone up, you know, with our increases in salaries and wages, so that's just to represent that. We've added a birthday party option for the pool. This is something new that we never offered before. So the pool birthday party option is $200 and use of the birthday party room that we have now in the bowling center or the meeting room. Just figured it was something the other two offered that we have never offered. So I'd like to do that. That's $200 for 3 hours. It includes an hour of pool time. If there's an additional guard, if we have more than 25 people in the pool, we have to have additional guards, so they have to give us notice. And that's something we've always really done, you know, provided extra guards if necessary. And the last two items at the bottom says Parks and Grounds, pavilions. We have a current rate, which is $25 or $35 at Mills or Minot, and at $35 or $45. That's for 4 hours or less, or more than 4 hours, those two different rates. I propose we go to $75 per day as a flat fee. We only rent to one group per day anyway, due to the difficulty of cleaning, especially on the weekends. And that really aligns with Sevierville charges $17 an hour, so that's about 4.5 hours at their rate, you know, $75, so it kind of aligns with them. And then the memorial trees is the last one. I propose we went up, unfortunately plaques earlier this year went up significantly, so we're now losing money on the memorial trees. So I've asked to increase that from $250 to $400 just to really cover our costs. Questions?
Would you move into parking, please?
Yeah, on parking, we've discussed this briefly before. It's not complicated at all, but basically, we were discussing changing our flat visit fee from $10 flat to either $12 or $15. We've discussed both of those. And the amount that would be raised if we raised our rate from $10 to $12 would be $600,000 for a 12-month cycle. And if we raised our rates to $15 per visit, it would raise an additional $1.5 million. So that's basically at both garages. Of course, you know the main garage has 366 spaces and Graham has 364. So right now, and we've raised them over the years from, I think the last time we went from 8 to 10 a few years ago.
We're still cheaper in most of the lots.
Yes, we are. Yes, we are. And,
I have noticed some lots have went back down to 15 on certain areas for the week, but it might just because it's slow and they're just trying to market things together. Place.
Yeah, we've had good success with our parking revenue the last several months.
And these come as a recommendation from our department heads, and not only just a recommendation, just for consideration. We'll correct that. So these are just for your all's thoughts, so you all can take these, take a look at them, think about them, and let us know, and then at appropriate time, then this would be by resolution, whatever ones that we do tweak on the commission agenda, so.
If we voted on once.
Yes. So if y'all want to take some time and think about them and let us know additional input, then we will then try to come up with a one based upon your all's inputs to narrow these down. And while Ms. Kelly is still upstairs, let's go ahead and move into our second component here, Mayor, without objection. And this is for the off-premise parking in Dalton. This is a request from the Planning Commission. If you would you give everyone a summary of what the additional request and the recommendation was by the Planning Commission so that we could have discussion?
Yes, of course. What I'm passing out now is just kind of the written out ordinance that I'll be talking about today. So in summary, this regulation was reviewed. It had a little bit of a gray area there, as well as there were some modifications to the standards associated with the ordinance itself as well. It did go in front of Planning Commission at last month's Planning Commission with a recommendation to change a 75-foot distance to 100-foot and to clarify the adjacent to or across the street parcels. So that is the modification that you see in front of you today. Planning Commission also requested that we hold a workshop for members of the public and you all to review this and go from there. This regulation does differ from the previous and includes a revision that indicates the measurement will be taken from property line to property line using the walking distance of the sidewalk. So this will only look at the walking distance within a public thoroughfare. So as you can see on the screen here, I have indicated the little red line right here is the only portion of this development. This is all hypotheticals here, so this is just for your visualization. So while they have private sidewalks through here, private sidewalks will not be calculated within this measurement. The only portion that will be calculated is this right here in the public thoroughfare. That would include any crosswalks as well, so it does require that as well. So as you can see here, this would be an allowable use here with the ordinance provided to you today, as the walking distance from property line to property line is less than 100 foot. So that would be folks that are traveling from, they're going to go check in, they're going to walk through here and just using the public thoroughfare. Maybe scroll to the next one, Seth. This would be something that would not necessarily be in compliance as well. So this would check one box, not both. So this checks the box that it is adjoining, it is across the street. However, this distance is significantly higher. So that would be not allowable here just because of the distance that it would take for a person to walk from parking lot to the hotel itself. And if you go to the next one, this is just...
Can I ask you a question? No, go back a minute, Seth. I'm just going to clarify. If they put a walking path here,
it would then be allowed.
Yeah.
Correct. Here's another one. This shows just another scenario here. This is one that does cut it a little bit closer. However, from property line to property line, the walking distance is only 96 feet, which would be allowable by by the proposed standards. This one right here shows one that would not be allowable by the proposed standards, as it shows that the property is not adjacent to or adjoining that lot. So therefore, they do meet the distance requirement. However, it would not be allowable based off of the walking path within the public thoroughfare. This right here is just another example that while there is some space between, while this parcel does front this parcel, it fronts here as well, and it's directly across from it. Here, the measurement would be taken just within the public thoroughfare, just like as before, and would be allowable because it is across the street and less than 100 foot. Here shows another one. I know that this looks a little bit odd. This is taken into consideration if the entrance to the parking deck was back here. This would be the walking distance, would be 203 foot, and therefore would not be allowable even though it is adjacent to the parcel with the hotel.
So we are putting it in where it's from the entrance, not from lot to lot.
So it'll be taken from the property line using the walking distance. So it will not utilize the main entrance at all. It'll just start where the sidewalk starts on public property.
so I guess my question, just so that, what Chad, I think, is getting at is if you had some stairs or an entryway here, that would be allowed.
Correct, yes.
I think that's what your point is, right, Chad?
Yeah, it's just the way the line's going from the hotel down and up. I just thought, is it going to entrance to entrance or
Right.
everything? That's good.
And then lastly, here's one that just shows an across the street measure, just really pushing the idea that we're not going to calculate any private sidewalks. This is just going to be there within the public thoroughfare. So here, you just have a crosswalk that would be utilized. And then this next shows one that is further separated and is not adjacent to, which would not be allowable by the proposed standards provided to you all today. And that concludes all the things I have. I'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you all may have.
Any questions?
Does anybody want to speak?
Recognize, okay. Taylor Forrester, here on behalf of property owners here in the city of Gatlinburg. Obviously recognize we've dealt with this ordinance before as it currently exists, and understand it definitely needs to be amended. There's some ambiguity in there. There's been some different interpretations at times. So that definitely needs to be clarified and addressed. One of the concerns is the limiting of the 100-foot measurement is it's kind of recognized it's on these diagrams. With parking, reviewed different municipalities, different in mountain towns and similar places to Gatlinburg on the parkings and in these commercial corridor kind of areas, downtown areas. The idea is to, keep the major thoroughfare what it's intended to be, a commercial district and visually as a commercial district. And so the idea with parking is it kind of breaks up, if you have these parking lots, parking garages, it breaks up this commercial district corridor district that you've created. Therefore, the idea is to put parking kind of on the peripheral, to whether it's side streets or behind these principal uses and not, distort the aesthetics that you've created in this commercial corridor area. So, for instance, on some of these images on these major thoroughfares, these arterial streets that are your commercial streets, where you have nice, new, beautiful developments, you don't want to have nice development, and then service parking lot, parking garage that breaks up that visual cohesive thing that's been created or intended to be created. The 100-foot sidewalk to sidewalk measurement, presently it's 400 feet, and I'm going to use just common language as a crow flies. So, obviously from 400 to 100 is a big drop in the distance, but then when you're measuring sidewalk to sidewalk, that's even more of a drop. The adjacent adjoining tracts create some limiting factors as well, and I haven't found this in the ordinance. I know it's been applied this way, that it has to be under common ownership, meaning the property has to be, the principal use site and the parking lot site have to be titled in the same name or entity. If that is the requirement, as you all know better than I do, with Gatlinburg, property does not change hands here very often. It's people hold on to it. Most of the developments that you see that the fee simple owner isn't the developer, they're under a ground lease. So we would say as something that should be considered based on the lack of property changing hands is that a ground lease, whether it's 20, 25 years plus, that could be some consideration that could allow the flexibility under this ordinance or the intent of it to accomplish these parking standards. As far as these changes, I think obviously adding sidewalks to the city are great, and if you don't have these adjacent or adjoining requirements, what you can end up with is property a little bit, a couple parcels over require sidewalks, and then the developer is responsible for constructing that sidewalk. The city doesn't have the burden of putting in a sidewalk. That's put in by the developer to meet these requirements. So enhancing the connectivity, the beautification through landscaping, lighting requirements, all great initiatives. I've only dealt with the off-site parking utilization just one or two times. I think one time actually. I don't know that it's been something, and Dalton, you know this, how often that's been used.
It's not very frequent that it is utilized. It's one of our lesser utilized ordinances.
Okay.
I would consider.
Yeah, so just kind of thinking of a typical city block is a 300 by 300 block, 300 feet by 300 feet. I don't think most people would say walking a block from a parking lot, parking garage to the principal use where they're going is something that's overbearing or burdensome. So we just asked as part of this workshop, just some considerations like that, maybe to hopefully increase the distance and some consideration on distance versus adjacent adjoining. You have a massive 400 300-foot frontage versus, you know, a parcel that has 50-foot frontage next to it, 50-foot, 50-foot, and you're still less than, you know, that 300-foot frontage property that has an adjacent tract to it, even though you're 2 or 3 over, it's still less than, you know, ultimately the adjacent tract could be. That's 300 feet wide when you're connecting to it. So just some ideas and considerations that kind of massaging this ordinance and this language that we agree needs to be amended, but just wanted to raise some considerations and put some additional thought. Thank you.
I could add to that as well. Could I?
Sure.
You know, I think this ordinance in specific has been an issue over the past couple of years. It doesn't get used very often, but when it has, it's been an issue. And having lived through it, I don't think and this is my opinion, I don't think the issue is the 400 feet. I think the issue had been clarity leading up to it where it wasn't very clear to begin with. That left it open for interpretation. That got us in the situation where there was contention over the use of it, how it should be intended to be used. Looking back, I think rules like this allow major developments in Gatlinburg to come. I think Mayor, you said, you know, we have what we have to work with. We can't expand like other cities around us can. And it's rules like this that help developers, landowners, current owners working or leasing the property to other people, help them figure out a way and a path forward. So I think as Taylor said, 400 feet, I think that 300 by 300 is minimum. They're blocked up to 900 feet. I think the people that come here from all over the country are used to walking a block or two for parking. So I would encourage or ask to think about not so much the distance, but how can we use this or clarify this to where it can still help and promote development, but be clear for all parties involved in it or that are using it so we know what we're working towards. Thank you.
What do you guys think? You're planning, you gotta deal with it.
We made our recommendation.
I don't know, the other thing that scares me is when you're talking about leasing on a piece of property that has parking, right? And this is, I'm not getting into people's business, but if I was leasing a place for 20 years even for a parking spot, in 20 years that lease goes up and they're gonna say, hey, I'm gonna increase it by $100,000, you've been paying 20, you're gonna pay it. What happens then, because you've got to have that parking to go with that hotel, right? That's gonna be my concern is it's gotta follow if there's a lease tied to a parking lot that could be lost down the road easily from a breaking of the lease and the increase to somebody. That's my thing, is making sure we have plenty of parking for that one existing one. That's a concern too.
All righty. Kelly, any more questions or comments? Okay.
And I made copies for everyone as well. And please know that these are all suggestions. If you don't like one, please know that we don't need to. These are, again, just all suggestions. And I had a dozen of examples like this that you'll see. Excuse me, please. Thank you.
Thank you for gathering them all.
I figured it would be easier, so just. There you are. And these are actual permits. You'll see up there at the top corner. Let me get my glasses. On the first one, this building permit was final. And as you can see, this was on a 3,600 square foot single-family dwelling. The total cost for this permit was $5,769. With the new proposed changes, the fees would increase. Now, for this, it would increase $1,964.50. And as you can see, again, those, but again, they're suggestions. I'm looking to do away with the base application fees for the plumbing and the mechanical. It's kind of redundant to have a base application fee for $10 for each. It's just paperwork. We don't need to do those. And your notes to the right, we had 13 inspections started, and then there was 5 more, so a total of 18 building inspections for that one permit. And that was just building, that wasn't including all of the ones for zoning or for fire. So that's what I'm proposing. Fire does a review for every building permit as well, along with zoning. They look at your site plan applications. On your second page, this is for another 3,000 plus square foot cabin. And if you choose not to have road maintenance fees, you don't need to. Again, this is all up to, whatever you all decide. There were 19 building inspections for this one permit.
That second page, it's only a 3,100 square foot home, and the other one's 500 square foot bigger.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear you, sir.
The first page is a 500 square foot house is bigger than the second page.
Mm-hmm.
But the second page would cost a lot more being a smaller one.
Probably due to the area, I believe. I don't know quite, those were just the figures that I had. The valuation, it was on the project valuation as well.
Yeah, the plumbing, it's a big.
It was more, the valuation. It's not always on the square footage, it's on the valuation. Now, on the third page, this is for the very, very big, tourist rental, over 12,000 square feet. And this is where your fees will decrease for your mechanical and plumbing. But those were actual building, those were ones that we did issue. And the last one is just a commercial deck. I gave you just a small example as well for a smaller valuation to see what those would be. But a lot of times we have, it's the inspections too. That's what I've noticed is our inspectors, time and time again, they'll go back and forth. We don't charge for re-reviews. So those are two of the biggest things that we back and forth on. Because we do want to accommodate people. We want to work with our contractors. We want to work with our developers. And we especially want to work with, our, homeowners, our, permanent residents. We want to accommodate.
What would be the biggest reason they'd have to go back for a re-inspection? It just wasn't
If they
done?
failed.
Where they failed it?
We have,
Maybe if they knew they were gonna get charged again, they would have failed it.
correct, that would eliminate, if they knew that they were getting charged, they would fail. We have one contractor currently working on 6 to 7 homes right now. Every home is a problem. About 20 to 30 inspections so far, hasn't passed, none of them are final. Issues, cut through a steel I-beam. We've had to have, call for an engineer to come back, because what he's doing is not safe. I've made Seth aware of this person, so again, it's just, for 6 to 7 homes, building and life safety is very important, but it's, again, that's just one contractor. I mean, we have very, very good ones here. I mean, in any jurisdiction, you're going to have, your good and bad, just like in any profession, so. But these are just ones that we don't have to do all of them. It's just suggestions, and that way you can see where it would or would not.
Yeah. I think that would be best. Does anyone else have any questions? And if y'all want to take some time, look them over, give them some thought, let us know your thoughts, and at that point in time, when it comes to do these, we can do these partial, or we can do them all together. We can take piecemeal, but there'll be a resolution that will be put on the agenda for your all's consideration.
I can also rearrange the numbers too on our scale the way it's proposed in our municipal code. I can, adjust those and give you examples as well of what they would be. Because I have it all formulated on these spreadsheets, it wouldn't take long at all.
Okay, good deal. Any other comments? This workshop's adjourned.